Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear California's in a state of turmoil. And I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office?
Mel, any message from you to Governor Newsom or Karen Bass tonight?
Spend less on hair gel. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, what can I say to them? Not big admirer of either.
I don't like him.
Forget the campaign posters for a second. Imagine the lights dimming as a familiar political figure steps into frame with the confidence of someone who knows exactly where every camera is pointed. His suit is immaculate, his smile never wavers, and every movement looks carefully choreographed. That's Gavin Newsom. For years, he's cultivated the image of California's polished frontman. But now picture him sitting across from Mel Gibson instead of a friendly interviewer. There's no cheering crowd, no carefully managed soundbite, just a conversation that slowly peels back the glossy surface. What unfolds feels less like a television interview and more like the climax of a political thriller that viewers can't stop replaying. Because this isn't simply about one governor. It's about whether California has become a showcase for appearances while deeper problems continue to grow.
We deserve much more and much better, and there is absolutely no adequate excuse the governor or mayor can make for this gross mismanagement and failure to preemptively deal with what they knew was coming.
One of the biggest criticisms surrounding Newsom has never been about his ability to speak. Few deny that he knows how to command a stage. His speeches are polished, his delivery confident, and every public appearance seems professionally crafted from beginning to end. Whether addressing reporters or speaking at major events, he projects the image of steady leadership. Yet critics argue that impressive presentation can only carry a leader so far. They believe that once the cameras shut off and the headlines fade, Californians are left asking a much harder question: do the results match the performance? To them, the governor excels at shaping a narrative, but governing requires more than compelling optics.
And Mel Gibson had some very interesting things to say about California Governor Gavin Newsom's failure to prepare the state for these catastrophic wildfires that are ravaging LA still.
In 2019, I think Newsom said, I'm going to take care of the forests and maintain the forests and do all that kind of stuff. He didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything. And then on top of that, they cut the water off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's all funny. And then I think all our tax dollars probably went for Gavin's hair gel. I don't know, but it's like, it's sad. It's like the place is just on.
That debate becomes especially intense when homelessness enters the conversation. California has invested billions of dollars attempting to address the crisis, yet critics question whether those enormous expenditures have translated into meaningful improvements. Encampments remain visible in many communities, while struggling businesses and vacant storefronts have become symbols in the public debate. Each time officials introduce another initiative or unveil another funding package, critics argue the promises sound familiar. They contend that new branding and fresh announcements have not produced the transformation many residents expected after years of record spending.
How much more of their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate? It's time to take back our community and our state and put the power and the privilege in the hands of competent leaders whose goals are to protect us and the way of life this nation was founded upon and promises to offer. That's all.
Population trends have added another chapter to the criticism. Over recent years, many families, entrepreneurs, and employers have chosen to relocate elsewhere, often citing affordability and business costs. The relocation of Tesla's headquarters to Texas became one of the most widely discussed examples of that movement. Critics argue these departures reflect broader frustrations over taxes, regulations, and the cost of living. They say state leaders continue defending California's strengths while appearing surprised that so many people still decide to leave.
Now, a lot of people have been coming out and calling out, Gavin Newsom endlessly, and the biggest one of all is Mel Gibson. We all know that he is a very big, open critic of Gavin Newsom, and he continues to actually do that, and rightfully so, because we already know that there's a lot of issues going on right now within the state of California.
Energy policy has also become a favorite target of Newsom's opponents. California stands at the forefront of technological innovation, housing some of the world's largest technology companies, yet critics question why electricity reliability continues to generate concern during periods of peak demand. Residents often pay among the country's highest utility bills while hearing ambitious promises about the clean energy future. Critics acknowledge California's environmental leadership, but argue it is difficult to celebrate long-term goals when the grid itself remains under pressure and imported electricity is sometimes needed to meet demand.
And lost his house in these wildfires. Yeah. And what you just saw there was an effort to recall the governor and Mayor Bass. Does his star power in this matter?
It matters in the sense we're playing it now on national television on a highly rated Fox and Friends First show, and that has gone viral on social media. And meanwhile, the same day that Mel Gibson says what he says there, and he's correct on so many things as far as the management of wildfires, Gavin Newsom's approval on the handling of the wildfires is only 30%.
Water tells a similar story in the eyes of many critics. Here is a state sitting beside the Pacific Ocean, yet drought restrictions have become a familiar part of everyday life. Homeowners cut back on watering, farmers worry about shrinking supplies, and conservation campaigns return year after year. Critics argue that asking residents to simply consume less cannot replace major investments in reservoirs, desalination, or long-term infrastructure. They believe California should be leading the world in solving water challenges instead of repeatedly managing shortages.
Governor Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass, well, they were also suggesting that LA was under control. They had it covered while, of course, LA was essentially burning. And they've been blaming Donald Trump for all the chaos in LA, while Gavin Newsom has been trying to emerge as the strong leader of the Democrats as he eyes off the presidency in 3 years' time. But actor Mel Gibson has spoken out, blasting the governor and the mayor, rightfully so, for their disastrous leadership.
The pandemic introduced perhaps the most damaging image of Newsom's political career. Like every governor, he faced extraordinary decisions during COVID-19. But critics say one photograph overshadowed nearly everything else. While countless Californians canceled weddings, skipped family gatherings, and mourned loved ones from a distance, Newsom attended an indoor dinner at the French Laundry alongside lobbyists. That moment spread rapidly across social media and quickly became for critics the ultimate symbol of different rules for political leaders than for ordinary citizens.
If I were giving the governor advice, I'd say, don't be so overt that people can see the wheels turning. The obvious question would be, well, you've been governor of California for 6 years. You were lieutenant governor for many years before that. When did you have this epiphany? And the answer is when he found that the Republicans the.
Critics also point toward broader quality of life concerns. They cite struggling schools, worries about public safety, and the increasing number of everyday products secured behind locked glass in retail stores. Something as ordinary as buying toothpaste or baby formula can sometimes require assistance from an employee, creating frustration for shoppers. Meanwhile, Newsom frequently highlights statistics suggesting crime trends are improving. Critics respond that official numbers do not always reflect how residents feel when they walk through their neighborhoods or visit local businesses.
We have to do a better job. We need competent, good governance. Now, that doesn't mean you can't criticize the governor of California for, I think, some very bad decisions over a very long period of time. I mean, some of these reservoirs have been dry for 15, 20 years. The fire hydrants are being reported as going dry while the firefighters are trying.
Housing affordability has become another defining issue. For many young professionals and middle-class families, purchasing a home in California feels increasingly unattainable. Rising prices have forced roommates to share small apartments and families to postpone dreams of home ownership. Newsom continues promoting ambitious housing proposals intended to increase supply. Yet critics argue the crisis has persisted despite repeated announcements. They believe that while new plans regularly capture headlines, many Californians remain priced out of communities they once hoped to call home.
And look at Gavin Newsom. He tried to do this, was it a radio show or podcast, whatever he tried to do. Now he's busy trolling on social media, and it's cringe, it's falling flat. I'm sure they'll come after me now, who cares? Because Donald Trump is one of one. Only he can do what he's done with social media, with podcasts, in the way he's done it. 900 rallies and counting.
Then, wildfire season arrives, bringing another cycle of destruction and recovery. Entire neighborhoods have faced evacuation, smoke has blanketed cities, and rebuilding efforts have stretched on for months after the flames disappear. Newsom consistently emphasizes the growing threat posed by climate change, but critics argue that stronger preventative measures deserve equal attention. They point to forest management, controlled burns, and infrastructure improvements as areas requiring greater focus.
We see a lot of the cities that you can't conceal carry, or it's extremely hard to get concealed carry, or California being one of them, Illinois, New York. I mean, do you think that everyday citizens carrying a reduces crime or increases crime?
I think the evidence suggests the opposite. It increases the likelihood of a death.
Financial management raises another set of questions. California collects substantial revenue through income taxes, fuel taxes, fees, and numerous other sources. Critics argue that taxpayers should reasonably expect exceptional public services in return. Instead, they point to budget fluctuations that have shifted from historic surpluses to significant deficits, while many infrastructure and public service challenges remain unresolved. High gasoline prices, aging roads, and ongoing concerns about government efficiency continue fueling debate.
He plays this slick little game of words. He doesn't say crime goes up. He says deaths go up. Why? Because that phrasing triggers your brain into thinking are the problem. But let's break that down. If you've got more in one state than the other, obviously the number of deaths involved is going to be higher in that state. That doesn't mean it's more dangerous. It just means the tools used are different. You know where the death rate is.
All of that leads to the broader question surrounding Gavin Newsom's political future. California remains a global center of innovation, entertainment, and economic influence, yet many believe it also reflects growing challenges in housing, public safety, infrastructure, and affordability. Supporters argue Newsom has governed through extraordinary circumstances, from devastating wildfires to a once-in-a-century pandemic, while pushing ambitious climate and economic policies. Critics counter that his greatest strength lies in delivering compelling speeches rather than delivering lasting results. And with continued speculation about national ambitions, one question naturally follows: if California represents the blueprint for his leadership, how would that blueprint look if applied across the entire country?